I started playing the piano when I was 8. I took lessons when I was 9, but I started when I was 8. I took lessons for 1 year with Sister Thea, and that was, classical piano for 1 year. The reason I quit was that I needed to explore realms beyond the printed page. And so what I did is I quit lessons. My parents were very supportive. And then it was kind of like, now, what can the piano do? And then I wrote a song. But this is what it was. It was based on the T-Rex. It began with the tritone, the Intervallo Diablo. T-Rex coming down the road. That was my first composition, what I call Opus 1, number 1. The interval is the most controversial interval. I mean, like a half step is the basis of Jaws, which is actually, Jaws is based on one interval. The half step, which is very small. The one I'm talking about with you is the tritone. The tritone is an octave, like a loaf of bread, cut in half. So it's that odd place, it's the equator of the octave. The Catholic Church banned it. Let's not talk about it. It's an evil interval. So I used it, I exploited it in T-Rex by Mahany. And I was 9 when I wrote that. I remember playing a lot of perfect fifths. They fascinated me. I didn't play that, but I would play a lot of fifths. I did that a lot. So I would sit down and I didn't know any songs. I would just be like a chemist, experimenting. Here we are with the new combination. Let's see what happens if we add something to it. I don't think so. Possibly. Anyway, so the endless experimentation. And that was preparing me for further study later on. So I had kind of a long incubation period from 1968 until 1975. During those 7 years, I was playing a lot of Beatles, a lot of Elton John. I was figuring out a lot of things like that. So a lot of Beatles, Elton John, and sounds of silence. I was able to be present with the piano. That's it. That's the whole thing now, and then, and forever, is to be there with it. Oh, the keyboard was just always there, so it was always a safe place. I was sort of on my own. So it was just freedom of exploring with no deadlines, no expectation. My parents didn't say you should do this or you should do that. They just let me explore. It's pretty funny because it was just like the piano was there. I had time and I had some talent. Let's see what happens. I just had this crazy freedom. I didn't even realize how free I was, but I was. I've been playing the piano. It's incredible to think about. I've been playing the piano for 53 years. 53 years. I think the thing that it teaches you is the golden rule, because whatever you put in comes out. Wherever you put the energy, that's where it's going to come out. So piano is going to simply mirror whatever you do without any judgment. Teaching is like being at a party and having the time of your life and then getting paid for it. That's what teaching is like for me. I would say the most important thing that I wish I knew now that I didn't know until now is try to find out who you are, if you can, before you get into all this stuff. Because if you know who you are, your compass will work a lot better. I'm glad I made all the mistakes that I made, because that's how I ended up here. So my advice to my 16-year-old is, just do it. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. What is it you really want to do? There's a guy in Washington, D.C. named Phil Grisdella. He was my friend. And I sat on a park bench in the mall in Washington, D.C. And I was 22 years old. And he said, Michael Mahany, I just want to ask you one question. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I couldn't answer it. But then later I did. And it guided me all along. What do you want to do? Not what do people say you should do. What do you want to do? It's extremely rewarding to hang in there and reach your goals. I've been through horrible setbacks and failures that all led to who I am and where I am today. So I wouldn't trade any of it. That'd be my final word. Don't trade. Keep it. Own it and just go with it. Just listen to your heart and follow it.